Today we are going to be talking about Lesson 7-2, which is parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay, and we're going to be identifying parallel and perpendicular lines and the angles formed by a transversal. All right, we do have three vocabulary words today. The first one is parallel lines. Those are lines in a plane that do not intersect. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect to form right angles. Okay, and the last one is a transversal. Transversal is a line that intersects two or more lines. And I'm sure you guys have already talked about parallel and perpendicular lines at some point in time. Transversal might be new to you, but it's really not that hard. So let's take a look at our next slide. Okay. I'm mostly concerned with these pictures on this, so if you guys would copy the pictures down, the words, that's not that important, as we're going to talk about those right now. Okay? It says if two lines are intersected by a transversal, and any of the angle pairs shown below are congruent, then the lines are parallel. This fact is used in the construction of parallel lines. We're not going to be constructing parallel lines this year. However, you will do that whenever you get to high school and you're in geometry. You'll be doing a lot of different constructions. But these three pictures down here, we have, notice the alternate interior angles, which you can tell because, well, they're the angles inside, okay, of these lines. And they're on alternate sides of your transversal. Now, the transversal is going to be this line right here that crosses through those two parallel lines. That's your transversal. Okay? Now, alternate interior lines have equal measures. So if we knew what this red angle was, like if it was 45 degrees, then we could say, oh, well, this other red angle right here, that's also 45 degrees. And we know that because the lines are parallel and we have that transversal. Okay? Now, alternate exterior angles are basically the same concept, except it's on the outside, the exterior of our parallel lines. And again, you can see this represented by the colors that we have here. And the measures, again, go the same way. The measures are equal to each other. Again, if we knew what the measure of this red angle was here, we know that the other red angle, the alternate exterior angle, equals each other. And you can kind of tell, they look very, very similar. So you can kind of tell that by looking at them. Okay? The same way with the blue angles. The blue angles are also equal to each other. And I can tell you, on all of these, this red angle right here, plus this blue angle right here, are going to equal 180 degrees because they're on a straight line. And we all know that a straight line equals 180 degrees. Okay? So, if we would only have to know one of those angles, either the red one or the blue one, in order to figure out the other one. All right, and the last thing that we're talking about is corresponding angles, which corresponding angles, remember, are on the same angle on the different shape, which is, well, if you look at your green ones right here, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, we know that we have, basically, it's one interior angle and one exterior angle. It's the same angle on a different line. Okay, and again, those equal each other. If we know what the angle measure of one of those green ones is going to be, then we know what the measure of the next green one is going to be. Or we could also say the same thing for the red, the purple, or the blue. Okay, we're able to figure out any of those. Okay, questions on any of that? Yes, sir? Mm-hmm. That is the transversal. Remember, transversal, by definition, has to cross through two parallel lines. Well, you can tell which ones are the parallel lines, so the only other line we have left, which is the transversal, is the one that crosses through both of those. Like on this one right here would be our black line. All right, let's take a look at our examples here, or I say our examples. We're actually going to have one where we're going to find the measures here in just a moment. But This is a good illustration because what it's showing us is it's showing us which one of these angles are equal to each other. Okay? For example, the red angles all equal each other. Angle 2 and angle 3, they equal each other. And we could call these are also vertical angles, okay, like angles that are on top of each other if you move your picture a little bit. And again, 6 and 7, again, are also equal to each other, but those are also equal to angles 2 and 3. Okay? And the same way with the blue. Angles 1 and angle 4 equal each other. Angle 5 and angle 8 equal each other. And you could also say, you know, angle 2 and angle 6, those would be corresponding angles. Or angle 2 and angle 7, those would be alternate exterior angles. And angle 3 and angle 6 would be alternate interior angles. Okay? There's a bunch of different names and classifications that all these go by. But with these colors, it makes it a little bit more apparent which one of those are actually equal to each other. Yes, sir? Number 4 and number 5 are alternate interior angles as well, because they're on the inside of the parallel lines and they're on alternate sides of the transversal. Okay? But yeah, that's what all that means. Okay? That is a lot of big words, and yes, it can be somewhat confusing. But the most important part is for you to understand how to find the measures for these, and we're gonna talk about that here after this slide. This says writing in math. It says the symbol for parallel is this symbol right here. It looks like an 11, maybe a little bit bigger than your normal ones, or maybe even absolute value. Remember the absolute value with the lines on each side of the number? Maybe even that. And the symbol for perpendicular looks like this right here. Okay? Now, that's important because on your worksheet this evening, the directions say, you know, these lines down here are parallel, these lines down here are perpendicular. Use that to find your information. So as long as you know what those mean, then you're okay. Which it makes sense. I mean, this looks like parallel lines. This looks like perpendicular lines. Okay? All right, lastly, okay, it says in the figure, line L is parallel to line M. Find the measure of the angle. And it's asking us for the measure of angle 4. Well, angle 4 is right here. So, yeah, it would be 124 because that is a corresponding angle, and we just talked about corresponding angles being equal to each other. Okay? Good, that's 124. Now, what else would be 124? Yeah, 7 could be 124 because that is a vertical angle to angle 4. So angle 7 would also be 124. Yeah, 3 could be also. Sure. Because, well, it's alternate exterior to alternate interior to number 4, and corresponding number 7, and vertical to 124. There's all kinds of rules you can use to show that that one's 124. Good. Now, but what if I asked you what the angle to, or the measure to angle number 1? And how do we know that? Yeah, we know that these two lines right here have to add up to equal 180 because a straight line equals 180 degrees. We know that. You guys told me that already. Okay? So, if we take 180 and subtract 124 from it, that gives us, what do we say, 56? So I know that angle 1 has to equal 56 degrees. Well, if angle 1 equals 56 degrees, then we should know what the measure for angle 2, the angle for measure 5, and the angle for measure 6, or the measure for angle 6 is going to be. What are all those going to be? Yeah, 56. On these, yes. Whenever you're dealing with parallel lines and transversal, you're only going to have 2 different measures. Because all of them, well, it meets all the rules that we just discussed. Okay? Questions on how I got that? Got any of those? It's not that hard once you're actually looking at it. The vocabulary is more difficult than the work, I would say. All right, let's get to work.